to our webinar. I'd like to welcome everybody in. Thank you for attending today's workshop, spending your afternoon with me. My name is Lynette Pennington, and I am a community outreach specialist, and I am housed in the Center for Business Enterprise Development. And you are in for a treat today. Today, we will be featuring Mrs. Maria Prado, and she is a trailblazer, and we will be talking and speaking on the capacity building, and she will be sharing her stories of success and everything. And I'm happy to say that she is certified with Cook County, and she's gonna share her wisdom and her insights and some of her experiences. So before we get started, I wanted to take care of a few housekeeping rules. Could you please mute your audio? Everyone, please mute your audio. And if you can also, uh, you don't have to feel free not to show yourself visually and everything, and save your questions. We will be answering them at the end of our presentation. But if you have a question, we will be also looking at the chat and we'll be answering questions there. So before I introduce our speaker, I want you please to put in the chat number one if you could hear me. All righty. Great. I'm glad that everyone can hear me. And with no further ado, I'd like to introduce our speaker again. Her name is Maria Prada, and she is with Prada and Renteria CPA Professional Corporation. And I want you to know that this is the largest Hispanic woman-owned CPA firm in the state of Illinois. She's dedicated to supporting minority and women-owned small businesses, and her company was founded in 1990. Um, it was founded by herself, Maria DJ Prado, who's a CPA, and Hilda S. Renteria, who's also a CPA. The firm has overcome many challenges to become a trusted leader in auditing accounting. This corporation has over 30 years of experience, and the founders have also established enduring client relationships while mentoring the next generation of professionals. She's committed to creating value and meaningful engagements, and Prada and Rentiro continues to empower organizations and individuals to achieve their personal purpose. So, with no more further ado, I would like to introduce you again to Mrs. Maria Prada. So, thank you for joining us this afternoon, taking time out to speak to our business community, and welcome to Cook County webinar featuring trailblazing women, because after all, one of the reasons why we selected you, number one, because March is known as Women History Month. That's number one. And number two, I just appreciate the fact that you have been in business for over 30 years, and you're a woman owned and a minority owned. So I just have a few questions, and I just want everybody to know we're just going to have a candid conversation with her as she enlighten you on how to build your capacity as a trailblazing woman. So the first thing I would like to ask you is, how long have you been certified as a WBE, a woman business owned with Cook County?
Hi, Lynette. Thank you so
Hi.
much for inviting me for this presentation. So I want to tell you, we have been certified as an MBE and WBE since the beginning of our business. The very beginning, 35 years ago. Initially, we were certified with the city of Chicago, and then when the program became reciprocal, we switched to the county.
Great. You made a great choice there. Thank you. And I know that you've been certified for over 30 years. Do you remember your first contract uh with the city or the county?
I do, and I want to tell you about that. That was actually the what spurred the founding of this company. I was working as an internal auditor at a bank, and I met someone who invited me to consider establishing a public accounting firm. And we were close to getting a contract. So I said, if we get that contract, we'll start the firm. And we got the contract. And it was a subcontract with the Chicago Park District 35 years ago. And that was our first contract as a subcontractor and the reason that we started this business.
Awesome. Well, for our business audience, could you kind of elaborate on the RFP process that you all went through, things that business owners should consider when they're ensuing competitiveness and contract readiness?
Definitely, Lynette. And first, I'm going to take a step back and distinguish the process for subcontracting as opposed to being a prime contractor. So, in the subcontracting space, the first part of the process is really establishing a relationship with a potential prime vendor. And so it takes establishing that relationship with a potential prime vendor, as well as establishing a relationship with the entity itself that we will be serving. When we're speaking about a prime contract, then we do get into the RFP process. And initially, for a new business, the RFP process may seem to be very cumbersome, very extensive. And what we did from the beginning was to establish the content of what we were submitting for in response to the RFPs. So the content including, for example, resumes, qualifications, experience. And then we started creating sort of an inventory of that content, and then we're using it for different RFPs. In some cases, we may be very successful with our response to an RFP. We may be awarded a contract. In other cases, we're not. And it is really important to get feedback. So for us, that has actually been something that's opened doors when we may not be successful in a first proposal attempt. And then we request a debriefing so that we can get feedback on our presentation materials. And we get to know and establish a relationship with procurement or the entity that's seeking that proposal.
And I really like that the fact that you expounded on that sometimes you're not successful, and even when you're not successful, it could lead you to later successes by getting feedback and actually applying the the information that you receive from the feedback instead of being discouraged, but use that information when you pursue other contracts. So that's great to know because sometimes it can be discouraging, and realistically speaking, we're not going to always be successful. when we attempt to in the process. So thank you for that. But what I really want to talk about now, let's talk about capacity building for minorities and women-owned businesses. And so what I want to do is ask you, how does your company, Prada and Renteria, support capacity building for minority and women-owned businesses through your CPA services?
So through our services, we look to identify the value that we bring to our clients. And most of the time, there is a component of capacity building for our client, for themselves, which is also mirroring our own seeking of our continuing to maintain our longevity and our sustainability. But we are able to identify areas where we can support our clients through our experience. We started our practice by doing a lot of audits, and auditing allows us to learn and understand the processes and different interactions of larger organization departments, interactions of departments within a larger organization, and understanding that we bring best practices to our clients. We bring that knowledge and we're able to recommend areas of improvement or valuable aspects that our clients may not have considered. So through that, we support them in becoming sustainable as well.
And well, I want to know what are your key financial management and strategic planning practices for long-term business sustainability? What are some of your key financial management and planning strategies?
Well, the very first one is that we need to be a profitable business. So we evaluate each one of our projects, each one of our relationships very carefully, just like we evaluate the value that we're bringing for our client. We also evaluate our fee structure. We look at the value first, of course, because our relationship evolves around the value that we bring to our clients. And then we look to be compensated for that value that we bring to our clients. And I've got to tell you a very brief story. When we first started our business, we were not very focused on our long-term sustainability. And we went out to try to get a loan, and we met with a banker. And we presented our financial statements, and we were really proud of the work we did and everything that was going on in our world. We were really busy. And so we were very hopeful that we would get a loan. And the banker reviewed our financial statements and looked at us, and he asked us one question. He said, "When do you think you're going to be profitable?" And we thought, is that really important? And of course, the banker explained to us that in order for him to trust that we were going to pay back that loan, he needed to see that the bottom line was positive. Otherwise, he wouldn't trust that we were going to be able to pay the loan back.
So I really understand not only bringing value to your clients, but you when it comes to pricing, that's a strategy in itself to bring profitability not only in the present, but in the future and sustainability. So that's great. That's really good. So just inquiry minds want to know, did you get the loan?
Not at that particular time.
Okay.
It took a few more years before we got the loan. Yes.
Okay. And the reason why I asked that is because you've been in business for 30 years, and we have people who are in our business audience who may be in business 3 years, just starting 5 years. And realistically speaking, you may not get the loan that you first apply for. And what I do like about you is being in business for this long, one of the largest minority Hispanic accounting firms for 30 years, you have experienced rejection as well as success. So even if you hear no's right now, it doesn't mean that you're a failure or your business cannot make it. So I'm gonna move right along because we want to hear from you. And this leads me to I want to talk about how you overcame challenges and business, and how did you grow your business? How did you capacity building? So the first question I want to ask you is this here. If you can elaborate on some of the major challenges you faced as a Hispanic woman-owned business and how you overcame it.
Sure, Lynette. It's taking me back to many, many years ago. The first challenge is getting licensed as a certified public accountant. 35 years ago, there were not a lot of opportunities in the established public accounting firms. So we were not able to start in the public accounting field, and we started our experience, our careers, and I say our because Hilda has a very similar history as mine. So we started working for a bank, and then we obtained our CPA. And the experience we had from banking was very valuable, and it served for us to obtain our license. Without a license, I cannot practice as a CPA, but in order for me to have my license, I must have experience from the industry. And back then, CPA firms were not very proactive in terms of hiring people like us. So we would not have had a chance if it wasn't for the banking experience. That was our first challenge. Another challenge was that my partner Hilda and I are first in our families to graduate from college as well as to operate a business. So we don't have that point of reference that we can look to and get that support in how to run a business. So that challenge, and that speaks to my previous story about the financial statements, because at that time we were looking to be accepted and to become a successful business, but we weren't really looking at the bottom line. We weren't really conscious about that until we started learning and understanding from other sources. So we have had a lot of mentors along the way. And that banker was one of our mentors as he asked that question and was very serious about it, and then explained the lending process to us. So we've had mentors every step of the way, and we've relied on individuals, both in our families and experts outside of our families. Another challenge we had was 6 years into the business, we were working for the federal government, and we were providing services throughout the country. By this time, we had a loan, we had a line of credit. But it so happened that there were some difficulties in the financial markets, financial industry, and we represented some perception of risk for the bank, and the bank closed our line of credit. And at that time, we had active contracts throughout the country, so we really needed the financing. So what we did is we went to our family members and asked for support in lending us money. And we were very successful in getting the support from our family members. Some of our family members refinanced their homes, and others looked into their savings and lent us money. And we were able to overcome that particular hurdle. And later on, we reestablished a line of credit with another bank.
And thank you for sharing that because um, it really speaks to looking outside the box, because sometimes we just think of banks and grants, but to consider friends, having personal investors, so to speak, whether it's family or friends and things of that nature, which kind of leads to my next question about overcoming challenges and business growth. And you spoke a little bit about it when you talked about mentorship, but I want to know, what role did strategic partnership and networking and mentorship play in your expansion?
Oh, it's played a very, very important role. We have established partnerships with larger firms where we have developed very good working relationships with them. And in one particular case, a larger firm referred us to a new client and for a new service. We didn't have the specific experience in the industry that our new client was in. We had the experience in the work that we needed to do. So we explored creating a different type of relationship with that firm where they became our expert advisor for the industry part of it. And we were able to have the relationship with that client for many, many years. So that relationship was very instrumental for us.
Okay, great. Now, I do know when I was reading your bio, and I did extensive research to learn about you, and I know that you do mentorship and things of that nature for the next upcoming accounting firms. So my question to you is, what strategies um, does the firm use to mentor and develop the next generation of accounting professionals?
So outside of the firm, we have created a scholarship program at the University of Illinois. And that scholarship program is intended to support first generation business students. So we
That's
offer
awesome.
a scholarship every year. Within the firm, we have created different roles to support our team members in their professional development and in their exploration of their personal and professional growth and development. Part of that is our director of human resources, who is involved with all of our team members on a regular basis, just in conversations with them regularly. And then a second component is a new role that we created 3 years ago, which is called Director of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. And the main responsibility for that role is to support our team members in being successful in their careers. So what that role does is initially create a structure for assessment, evaluation, and monitoring of the progress of our team members. And then the second component is actually implementing that program throughout the firm.
Oh, wow, that sounds great. Um, Speaking still in the vein of what we was talking about, leadership and mentorship, um, if you can expound on the impact of leadership development, developing the leadership and team empowerment on your firm's success. So how, if you can expound on the impactfulness of that.
Sure, I can. So initially, when we bring in a new team member, we evaluate their skill sets and experience, and then we match with the support of our director of diversity, equity, and inclusion. We match that person to an engagement where the person will be successful. We also work with that person to identify areas of growth and development. It may be initially for just taking on the role fully. They first join the firm, they may not have the experience and exposure to the public accounting industry. So it takes a little bit longer for that person to identify their areas of growth and development. When we have a person who's coming in with experience, then we move on to identify those areas of growth and development. Where would you like to go next? So if they come in as an auditor, they may want to become a senior auditor. So our director of diversity, equity, and inclusion works with them in identifying what are the areas of growth for them. Once those areas are identified, then she creates a plan of action along with them, and then we monitor that on a regular basis, 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, and support the person to get to the next level.
That is a great way to develop leadership within your company. And I really like the way that you treat people that have different skill sets differently, and everyone is not, you don't treat them on the same level. So that's great. I really like that. So the next question I have dealing with leadership and mentorship and in your accounting firm, what role does intentional engagement play in building long-term relationships with your clients as well as with the teams that you have developed throughout your career?
So that's a very, very important aspect of our business, building long-term relationships and intentional relationships. And we start with our managers. Our managers are accountable for being the face of the firm, I want to say, for being in direct contact with the client and establishing ongoing communication. So our managers are also very critical in monitoring the team members' progress towards their goals. Our managers are really, really critical in both of those functions. And that is very, very important to the firm overall.
And so I want to move right along because we know 30 years ago there was probably no type of computers and things of that nature when it came to accounting. So I want to talk a little bit about innovation and your outlook for the future. And so how has your company, Prado and Renteria CPA, how do you leverage technology and innovation to enhance your efficiency and your service delivery?
We do that in a lot of different ways. And again, you're taking me back to those years when we first started the company, and a lot of our work was actually done on spreadsheets. And we actually did that by hand. We've come a long way from that time. And what things look like right now is very much specialized. And just as we provide different specialized services, each of our specialized services utilizes a different type of software. And we have team members who are very familiar with those softwares, so we rely on their expertise for using that particular software. We now, of course, like everyone else, prepare tax returns using a software, and we no longer do that by hand as we did when we first started the firm. We also have software programs that operate in the background of all of our functions, including our telephone system. So things have changed drastically, and we continue to explore ways to create efficiencies and, again, to continue to bring value for our clients. We continue to explore how we can do things easier and make them much more practical, which benefits both. It benefits us as well as our clients.
Okay. Now, I know you mentioned that you have a diversity, equity, and inclusion personnel on your staff. Um, how do they contribute to expansion and attracting a diverse talent of people?
So our
Or
director
say
of diversity,
top talent.
top talent, yes. So our director of diversity, equity, and inclusion is involved in the interviewing process. And so the way that she contributes is by first supporting the firm in identifying individuals who are qualified and who match the firm's values, and will be team players within the firm. And then the next step is that she looks to support them in assessing where they want to go within the firm and supporting them in taking that next step and getting to their goals. And along the way, when we promote someone within the firm, that makes a difference for the firm. That's also a value to the company. So she's also involved in ensuring that client service commitments are met and that they're met on a timely basis, because that's part of the support that she provides to our team members. It's if we look at a manager's accountability, a manager is accountable for delivering the contract that we have in place, and that includes the end result that we're going to be delivering, as well as delivering it on time and maintaining that client relationship. So she supports the managers in all of those areas of the service.
What advice would you give small business owners who are looking to scale their operation and go to the next level effectively?
Um, um, so what I always look at is a continuous exploration, and always looking for ways to get to the next level. Identifying first where you want to go, what it is that you want to offer, if it's a new service, if it's a new product, or if it's in a new industry or in a new geographical area. Identifying that first, and then looking for ways that that can be done, and continuously exploring how to make it happen. So for me, that's been a key to making progress in a lot of different areas of the business, and exploring when something doesn't go the way I had expected it. What can I tweak? What can I modify so that the next time I try this, I will be successful in that?
So I want to ask you a question. It's just pertaining to your certification. Um, I know that you've been certified as long as your business been in existence, what type of impact and would how would you encourage someone? Has it been beneficial to be certified by Cook County? With that, and I know it could be tedious and, a lot of information and it could, it takes a lot. But if you could just talk about the benefit of being
Yes.
certified.
Yes, definitely, definitely. It is extremely beneficial, very, very beneficial. For us, it has been a way to get involved in projects that we would otherwise not be able to get involved. And that has opened up a door for us to understand an organization a little bit better and to understand where we could make a difference for that organization that may not be where we first start. And one of our examples is with the city of Chicago. We started about 30 years ago providing audit services for a very limited component of the audit. We started as a subcontractor. And we learned a lot more about the operations of the city of Chicago and their needs. And we've been able to develop relationships in different areas, different departments, and to provide services for different departments. So we now have 3 prime contracts that we do with the city of Chicago.
That's great. Now, this is another question because I noticed that when I asked you an earlier question, you kind of differentiated between subcontracting and prime contracting. As a subcontractor, um, how can a person really connect with a prime contractor? How did you connect with prime contractors? Any advice you want to give our audience?
Yes, yes, definitely. For us, it's been a process of developing relationships with them, and we focused on developing trust based relationships with them. The reason why I say that is because I may have a relationship with a particular large firm, and then I may be in a situation where this particular firm is competing for a project with another CPA, another large CPA firm, and I may be asked by one or the other about information that's confidential, either to the other party or to the client that we would be serving. And my position is always to maintain the confidentiality of information and to let them know that if I get a question from another CPA firm, let them know that just the way I wouldn't share information about anyone else when they ask me, I will not share information about them either. And so it's been a process of maintaining trust-based relationships with them, in maintaining a clear, I want to say a clear definition as to how I can be of value for them. I have been of value to other CPA firms where I am also in a position to provide great feedback because I know about a lot of CPA firms, but I will not break the confidentiality at any moment. I'm very careful about that, and I can still provide feedback to a firm that may be bidding on a particular contract. So those relationships are very, very critical, maintaining a very clear definition as to what that relationship is like, because you want to have a relationship with not just one prime company, but several prime companies. And they may, at one time or another, be competing for the same project.
So, what I know, one of the benefits that you mentioned about being certified with Cook County, it gives you an opportunity of exposure, and not only exposure to primes and things of that nature, but exposure to different aspects of business. And a key takeaway that I got from you is, as a subcontractor, I just can't sit on my hands thinking business is going to come to me, but I have to go to meet and greets and attend different um, seminars to meet people and have my elevator speech, so to speak, ready. My uh, be ready, a 5 second speech that can just kind of hook them and just get out there. So that's great. So in closing, and I can't believe 41 minutes have passed by. It's been very great. In closing, I'd like to just ask you, are there any closing remarks, any words of wisdom you'd like to give our audience? And before you do that, um, I want everybody to know, if you have any questions, please put it in the chat. You can raise your hands. We will acknowledge you. Because as I said, Mrs. Prado, she has really faced challenges, overcome challenges, and anytime you've been in business for over 30 years and you're considered one of the largest Hispanic groups in a field that's not really women dominated, especially minority women dominated, it speaks volumes. So if you have any questions, please feel free to ask her. You can put it in the chat, as well as you can raise your hands and we'll acknowledge you. But while we're waiting on that, if you just want to give us real quick and brief, give our audience some things, just some good insight, some takeaways that they should have. Um, you can feel free to unmute yourself too. Uh, any last
Yes.
parting words?
Sure, sure. What I would say is never give up. Never give up. Many, many times when you're in action, when you're pursuing something, it may look a little messy, it may look very uncertain, but once you overcome that particular area that's kind of invisible, or a barrier that stands in front of you, once you overcome it, things become clearer and clearer. And 30 years later, you'll be looking back and say, oh, okay, that wasn't very difficult.
Well, we appreciate you sharing your time with us. And once again, we want to thank everyone for attending. But we would like you also to take our survey. We're going to have a QR code that you can just get the survey. The link is in the chat, where you could just go to the link and complete the survey. And within 48 hours, we're going to have this on our YouTube station, where you can look at it as many times as you like, along with other great webinars. And so, in parting, I want to let everybody know that there will be a veterans affair, a resource affair. Our commissioner, and we're going to put that up so you can see it. It's in Palos Heights, and there will be a lot of resources for our veterans. So you don't want to miss the opportunity to go there. But also, I'd like you to know that April 16th, we will be having another workshop. You don't want to miss it. It's the MEPs of certification. You don't want to miss it. With it's managing, expanding and preparation for certification, and you will get a host of information. So you'll look back 30 years and you will say, wow, I have actually did it with the MEPs. And not only that, I want to say in parting too, that what's great about being certified with Cook County is it never expires. As long as you submit your documents on a yearly basis, it will not expire. So don't forget to sign up for our upcoming workshops. Don't forget to also attend our attend the resource fair that's coming up for veteran. And so with nothing else to do. Okay, we have a question. We're waiting. Oh, yes, you you can read it for me.
We have one comment. I have a financial accounting background and I have worked really hard to break into the industry with no success. I love the training and development focus for minorities. This is encouraging. Oh, thank you so much. This is definitely why we do the work that we do, and we want to continue to bring awesome events like this to you. So definitely take the survey and feel free to check out our events page where we have linked a lot of our other upcoming events that are going to be happening in the second quarter.
And so in closing, Miss Maria, if you would like to share your email or your web address with our viewing audience, and we'll have that on our YouTube for those who would like to know more about you and things of that nature. If you could share with us, please.
Definitely. Would you like me to share it through the chat?
Yes, you could share it through the chat and you could tell us as you're sharing it.
Sure, it's mprado@pradorenteria.com. And you can also send a request for information to info@pradorenteria.com.
Great, great, great. Well, it's been so nice spending the afternoon with you. We're going to give our viewing audience back their time. Listen, we're giving you 12 minutes back. Enjoy. We have one person. Okay, we have another question. Oh, they just thanking you. And I want to thank you too. It's been great having a conversation with you. It's been a delight and it's been very informative and very encouraging. And thank you so much. Everyone, have a great day.
Thank you. Thank you for the invitation.
You're welcome. Okay, I ended these.